Hello everybody, this is Jose Betancourt, and as always, thank you for viewing my videos. So I'm going to rank the top 3 controllers for this current generation of video game consoles. We're going to start off with number 3, the Xbox One controller. The Xbox 360 had one of the best controllers I've ever used, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who agree with that. So I expected the Xbox One controller to be better. For me, personally, it is not better than the Xbox 360 controller, but it's not too far off from being as good as the Xbox 360 controller. Now, Microsoft has come out with an Xbox Elite controller that costs $150. I will not buy a controller that costs me $150 because the Xbox One controller, as it stands, is not that bad of a controller that I need to spend so much money, 3 times the amount. Not 3 times, depending where you find it. But nonetheless, I'm not going to spend that much on a controller. I am happy with the Xbox One controller as is. But even though I don't mind using it, I don't feel the need to go out there and buy an Elite. There are some issues. The bumper buttons, they're so cramped up. After a while, my fingers feel fatigued. I play Halo. The Xbox One is my Halo console. I'm a huge Halo fan, so I play mostly Halo games on my Xbox One. I don't really buy multi-plat games on the Xbox One. So I'm playing shooters on the Xbox One, and bumper buttons and the triggers, are vital. So at times I will find myself accidentally hitting a bumper button instead of a trigger. And that's because of the design. It's an odd design, but that's the biggest flaw, and that is why it is currently number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list is the Nintendo Wii U controller. Now, you might be surprised that it is number 2 and not number 3 because of its size. Quite frankly, I have big hands, but even for me, using the controller as a standalone controller is quite unusual. It's not as practical as I would like it. But when you throw in the fact that it has dual speakers, it has a stylus, and it has a big touchscreen in front, and not to discount the fact that it also has 2 trigger buttons and shoulder buttons, and dual joysticks. Oh, and a D-pad. So the Wii U controller is packed with all types of features that you would need to play any type of video game on the Nintendo Wii U. And as I stated, a touchscreen. Now, the touchscreen you can use for remote play. You could actually take this controller, go to another room. I believe it's the maximum distance is 30 feet from the controller itself, between the controller and the console. And you can actually use it as a standalone console. You can even watch Netflix directly from your Wii U to the Wii U controller. And you can browse the internet. You can change the channels of your television. It is really intuitive. Unfortunately, for kids who play on the Nintendo Wii U, they're not going to use this very comfortably. But I give it to Nintendo. They went all out on this controller, took a chance, and the quality and the design, I'm really impressed with it. And that is why it is number 2 on my list of video game controllers. And my number 1 controller for the current generation of video game consoles goes to the PlayStation 4 controller. Now, why? Well, I'm going to tell you. Just like the Nintendo Wii U controller, Sony really packed in a lot of different features. We can start off with the built-in 3.5mm jack. Now, the Xbox One currently has it, but out of the box, when it first launched, the Xbox One controller did not have this. You also have a touchpad in the center. You have an indicator light on top of the controller. Also, you have motion capabilities with this controller, so think of it as a PlayStation Move, but in controller form, because you can essentially use it as a PlayStation Move. But the biggest advantage of this controller is the share button. It is one of the most innovative, well, probably the biggest innovation in this current generation of video game console. It will allow you to easily share video gameplay on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook. Same thing with images. And even though the Xbox One and Nintendo Wii U can do the same, it is the ease of use. You just hit the share button and you have a menu. You can either save a photo or a video, and you can easily upload them to your favorite social feeds. As I stated, it's really easy, and the convenience is what gives it the edge over the Xbox One controller and Nintendo Wii U controller. And that is why it's number one. But each controller has a negative. On the PlayStation 4, you're talking about the battery. It's probably tied with the Nintendo Wii U controller. I'm not sure, because the Wii U controller also has the dual speakers, the touchscreen, and a headphone jack. The PlayStation 4, because it has the light, the motion, you're looking at about, with a brand new controller, you're looking at about 10 hours on a full charge. After a few years, you're looking at maybe 7 hours or 8. It depends how much you play. And I'm assuming the Nintendo Wii U controller is going to have a similar battery life. They both have an internal battery that are not replaceable. The Xbox One probably has the edge because you can use regular AA batteries, or you can buy a battery pack and plug that in there whenever you want to recharge it. So the edge would go to the Xbox One as far as battery life, because it does not have an internal battery. So let me know in the comment section what you think is the best current generation video game console, and which controller you prefer out of those consoles. So until next time, I'm Jose Betancourt. Talk to you soon.